everybody. Welcome to the second episode of the Intramural Champs podcast. My name is Eric, and with us today we have Cole, and he really likes to take George's money.
Actually, I like it so much that he paid me $10 this week, and I also beat him and Eric in picks this week. More
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that
yeah.
later.
Yeah, we'll get back to that later. And then we've also got Jorge. Jorge likes to take Cole's money sometimes.
Yes, and I do like to brag about having a better hairline than him because the only thing that I'm not losing is my hair, unlike you two.
Oh,
Hey,
okay. That's a
hey,
little personal.
hey, you got more pounds on me, Tubbs.
Barely.
All right, and like I said at the beginning, my name is Eric, and I don't have any money to bet anybody because I'm a new dad. So let's get right into NFL this week. What did you guys think generally about how everything went with the games this week? Any cool highlights or anything you wanted to mention?
The main takeaway I got is from the Cowboys. They really didn't win that game. The Falcons just outright lost it.
Yeah, I think this a lot about the Cowboys the last couple years is they play really hard like the last three quarters of the game, but that first quarter is like they're not even existent. And that was especially true last week. I mean, what they had like three fumbles or something in the first 10 minutes of the game.
I
Yeah,
think I'm sorry, but I think that Dallas's best investment in the offseason was getting Greg the Leg signed on from the Rams. You guys needed a really good kicker after Bailey left, and he started being a spare. I think Greg the Leg was. I didn't even know you guys had signed him, if I'm being honest, until I saw him past couple weeks. But Greg the Leg will prevail, and he did for you guys twice.
yeah, I freaked out. I screamed and yelled and I scared my son. He was terrified when I screamed because I was so happy that we won. But I think Cole, I think you're right. I think Atlanta really lost it, and it's as hard as our guys played, especially Dak. I mean, he had a really good game. He's my quarterback in fantasy. I think he got like 39 points or something like that. But I mean, just that first quarter was not good for anybody. We just did not play well. And even second quarter was debatable how well we played.
You know who arguably had a worse Sunday than the Falcons, maybe? See how the Houston Texans performed?
Oof.
Yeah, that was rough.
Rough.
But
Like, don't bet on clowns. It's like you
Yeah,
said,
Bill
Cole.
O'Brien's a clown.
yeah, ever since you said that last week, Cole, it's kind of haunted me because we had our picks for who we thought were going to get the different divisions, and the Texans pick has been haunting me. And you're right,
Same here.
you should not bet on a clown.
No, it's like betting on the Giants, you know? Jason Garrett's now is their OC. Not betting on that clown. Not today.
Clappers the clown.
I just say
Yeah.
I just want to go publicly right here saying Carson Wentz, you bum. You say you want to cry about being booed artificially in a stadium. Yeah, you should be booed artificially in a stadium. He said it did horrible. Here he is. He just had a daughter born. He's talking about his Christian foundation. I'm very happy for him and that he's doing good things. But you got to focus on football, man. Ever since you got hurt, it's just been a downhill slope. As an Eagles fan, that hurts to see. I was saying that you were the franchise quarterback these past 2 years, and both of you can attest to that. I had
Yeah.
faith in Wentz. I'm losing that faith in Wentz. I'm being completely objective right here and saying Wentz's game has gone down significantly. And I have noticed it and I have said it. But I said, you know what? Maybe this is a year, he's going to want to prove something. So far, he has nothing to prove. What's he have? 4 interceptions and 2 touchdowns? Get out of here, man. That's not good. We play the Bengals this Sunday. That's not saying much. I want to see him perform against San Fran, New Orleans, teams like that caliber. But if we can't perform against the Rams, who are, okay, somewhat sneaky good, I don't want to hear it. I really
No,
don't
they're
want to
good.
hear it from him.
So I don't like Philly, but I keep close tabs on them because they're in the same division we are. And that's something I've said since the beginning. I was very supportive of Carson Wentz because that first season that he was in there, especially y'all's Super Bowl season, was that the same one? Was that his first year or his
Was
second
his,
year?
was his second year.
Okay. Well, he got hurt that year. I mean, he really carried the team all the way into the playoffs, and then he got hurt, and Nick Foles came over and took over. And
Big Nick.
yeah, and Nick Foles is great, but my argument always was, well, if he was so great, he would have been the starter over Wentz, but he just wasn't consistent enough. And I think you saw that the following season too. But I was always very supportive of of Carson Wentz because, he really did well for y'all until he got hurt. And then since then, I kind of feel like a clown because I I get proven wrong every time I try to make that argument. And I will be honest, George, you're probably the only Eagles fan that I know that actually has been supportive of Wentz from the beginning. And so I think you have every right to be frustrated. It's really annoying to see someone who was playing so well and just kind of had their head in the game just really not be that way this year. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of happy to see it because I'm a Cowboys fan. But as a football fan, it just kind of, I mean, you don't really want to see anybody be terrible except for Baker Mayfield. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
Yeah, it's just real frustrating to see as a fan, and seeing how the offense has slowly fallen apart ever since the Super Bowl. It makes you kind of wonder the direction the team is going. But drafting Jalen Hurts, I didn't think that was bad at all. He was in the slot last week as a receiver. I want to see Philly use him kind of like a Taysom Hill kind of weapon. He can run. Let's save Carson Wentz and his very atrocious way of getting out of the pocket now because he's afraid to get hurt. He used to be real good at it, but now he's afraid of it. He throws bad passes. He can't throw away the ball because he's not used to being a pocket passer. But if we get a little Jalen Hurts action in there, I think that can give Carson Wentz some room to improve in becoming a pocket passer because he literally doesn't want to get hurt. Anytime he tries to escape the pocket is a risk. But yeah, I think if Philly can start using Jalen Hurts a lot more, like a Taysom Hill weapon, I think that'll be good for Carson.
And maybe throw him in there just to kind of change it up every once in a while too.
Yeah. It's not necessarily saying to Well, it is saying to Carson, you better get your shit together. This guy's just going to take your job, which I hope can get him kicked into gear. But
well, yeah, I think jumping back into it, I think it was. I think you made some really good points about the Eagles. So what team stuck out to y'all last week as far as big performances, things you weren't expecting?
Raiders.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Raiders for sure. God, what a game they played against the Saints.
The
Yeah,
banged
that
up
was-
Saints.
I'm telling you, Raiders are going to be sneaky good this year. I think they can make that wild card spot, but their card didn't look half bad. Keller was catching some good balls. Josh Jacobs was running the shit out of the ball too. So Raiders got a slight chance. They're improving. They're improving from the 2 years that they've said they've been.
Yeah,
I was
I
really
mean,
impressed with San Diego, or where are they now? Los Angeles, I mean.
that was who I was going to say too. Their defense against the Chiefs was incredible. I mean, the Chiefs look lost, especially the first half of that game.
And not to
And
mention Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I was impressed with him too. But I
Yeah.
think the craziest part about the Chargers last week was what happened with Tyrod Taylor, where the team doctor punctured his lung, giving him a injection in his ribs. How dumb do you have to be? I just don't
Honestly,
understand.
they're getting paid
mean-
millions.
I think that just kind of feeds into the whole trouble with NFL team doctors anyway. I mean, they're always making their guys play hurt. They obviously are biased and would rather them play even if they shouldn't. And it's been documented. I don't know how bad it is anymore, but especially several years ago, they would just put these guys on some opiates and send them out there, and these guys are just plain numb. And they get out and their bodies are broken. They don't have health insurance. They can't make money anymore because they're not players.
This is a shame. This is a shame for Los Angeles moving from San Diego because I mean he could have just gone to Tijuana and gotten some better health care over there, man. I mean seriously.
That is true. I read that and I was like, oh god. But I think Herbert for right during warm-ups at the beginning of the game, right before the game starts, they're like, all right, you're gonna be starting today, and then he goes out and plays like that. That was pretty incredible, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. His passer rating was pretty good for being the first time.
Yeah, I think that's how I know I'm getting old because these young QBs come in like Drew Lock and Herbert, and I look at them and they look like babies. And I realize that I'm older than them, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm older than Patrick Mahomes, too. That's the thing I realized last week. He had his birthday, he turned 25. And I said, oh shit. I'm getting so old.
That kid is making more probably within 6 months that we'll make probably within our 30-year span combined, us together.
They'll remind me. Hey, but if this thing takes off, maybe we'll make Patrick Mahomes money one day.
I hope so.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But we're all in it for fun. That's why we're here.
Exactly.
Yeah, I I think the other thing that was crazy about last week was all the injuries we had. Had Christian McCaffrey go out with a high ankle sprain, he'll be out 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. Saquon tore his ACL. Bosa tore his ACL. I think there's a couple other ones that were pretty bad. I don't
Yeah.
remember all of them.
I
But
think
we always see injuries early on in preseason, but this year there's no preseason. Workouts before the season were kind of different and weren't, as in depth as they normally would be. We see injuries like this every year, but I think this year it's just been really big names that have gotten hurt, so it just feels more impactful.
Yeah, it really does. I think not having a preseason really kind of hurt a couple of teams and a couple of players.
Especially teams with newer coaches. Did y'all hear did y'all see, first of all, did y'all see Fitzmagic play on Thursday night?
Oof. Yes.
That was wild.
Second of all, did you hear what Bill Simmons said about Ryan Fitzpatrick earlier this week?
No, what'd he say?
It's one of the funniest things I've ever heard about him. He said Ryan Fitzpatrick's a lot like French bread pizza in the back of the freezer. You find it and you're like, ooh boy, French bread pizza. I haven't had this in a while. And you eat it and you're like, ooh, that's pretty damn good. Why don't I eat this more often? Then you go for the replay again next week and you're like, all right, that's okay. And you keep doing it and you go, oh my God, why do I keep eating this? This is terrible.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
That's Fitzmagic summed up pretty well. Let's not forget that badass moment when he was with my Bucks and he wore those chains in that shirt. He borrowed Deshaun Jackson's outfit.
Oh yeah.
I was just about to say
badass.
that. That's what I think of every time I think of him.
Yeah, what a badass.
Well,
I think that's all I've got to bring up about the NFL. Does anyone have everything else?
Just going through the scores real quick and before we press on. Oh yeah, the Patriots. I think they're the real deal, man.
Oof, yes, I think I want to officially change my Bills pick to the Patriots.
Nope, you made it. You made it. It's written down.
Okay, I know it's written down.
Pudding.
I know there's no pussyfooting around. I'm just saying the Patriots, like we said, they're going to make some noise. So either Bills in wild card or Patriots win the division. But Cam looked really damn good against Seattle.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, the effort they put against Seattle and how close the game was, I did not expect that. I thought they were going to do pretty well, but I didn't think they were going to compete the way they did. So yeah, I'm even more impressed than I was week 1.
For sure. And I just, anytime Cam smiles, we see those grills in the back of his molars just shining, those diamonds there. He's shining with them Patriots, boy.
Yeah, that Patriots and Navy looks pretty good on him, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I don't mind the Patriots as much as I did before now that Brady's gone.
I think there's a lot of people that feel that way.
Yeah, I like them a little bit more now. I don't like them, but I don't straight up hate them and like loathe them anymore.
All they hate goes to my Bucks. Lori's coming back to Tampa.
One other observation is, I mentioned this to Eric yesterday, but I haven't to you, Jorge. Jorge, have you seen Ezekiel Elliott's haircut?
Oh God, it's awful.
You know what it looks like?
What does it look like?
It looks like Mickey Mouse's ears.
It does look like Mickey Mouse's ears.
Hey, but you know what I think? I think it is secret subliminal messaging that means that the Dallas Cowboys are going to Disney World after they win the Super Bowl this year.
Unless there's a bubble in there, I don't see how the Cowboys are going to Disneyland.
It's a Disney World, George. I wish you would know your Disney parks better than that. Disneyland is in California.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just know Western Playland in El Paso, Texas. Shout out to those West Texas moments.
So anyway, let's move on into our bets and our gambling. And Cole, I'm gonna let you take this one.
All right, boyos. Got our standings from last week. Drum roll, please. We have last place, Jorge Amperature at 1-5. Got to sting a little bit. And then we have Eric Gillette in second place at 2-4. And then we have myself in first place at 3-3. So, we're pretty bad at picking games if the best we got is 500 winning percentage.
I will say that last week's games, a lot of them, we thought were not going to come down to the spread, especially underdogs. And it came down to being pretty much accurate, like the Minnesota game and the Carolina game. Those came down. We all kind of were jumbling around with that. But yeah.
Well, and the other thing too, I think we mainly picked ours last minute and didn't have as much time to really sit there and digest it a little. So hopefully this week, George and I can kind of redeem ourselves a bit.
Yes,
mainly George, because he only got one right. So
Jorge, why'd you bet on the Vikings? Is it because of Graham?
Yeah, because of Graham. Actually, now that we're saying to Graham, I just want to give a huge shout out to our soldier. I spoke with him today. He's doing fantastic in the military.
You're
However,
talking
he
about our
did.
friend Graham, right?
Yes, our dear friend Graham Regan, our dear soldier, and I would just like to say that he told me that in his platoon there are 64 men, 64 strong men full of testosterone, ready to go to war. And there's only 63 lockers, so Graham has been the chosen one to live out of his bags, and he is now known as a homeless guy within his platoon, which I thought was pretty funny.
That is the most fitting thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
He found his niche.
Really
all of
did.
our thoughts and prayers are with El Vagabundo, and
Yes.
we hope he stays safe out there.
Yes.
Um,
Anyway, let's get back to gambling
one-
because we lost that over under on him.
If you don't mind, Jorge, do you mind explaining that story of Graham? That one time he disappeared from the party. Just for context, Graham is one of our friends that he went to McMurray with us. He's my age, so he's 24. He'll be 25 soon. And for the last 4 years since he graduated, or 3, he's just been living between people's couches, And at one point, did a little stint in Ohio where he just drank and worked at a pizza place, living his best life, and then moved back. And basically, between all this time of hopping couches, he settled on Jorge's couch or air mattress for a long time. And I was just wondering, Graham's the life at the party, He just easygoing, jovial young man, very charismatic. And he had one time, or Jorge, you know what I'm talking about? Do you mind explaining that, like, just to give the audience a glimpse of his personality, explaining that one time he disappeared at that party for about 45 minutes?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so we were just having a small little kickback because his ex-girlfriend was in town, right? And Graham just disappeared for 45 minutes. I remember he went to the fridge, grabbed 3 Frio 6.0s, which is kind of like a Texas beer for our audiences that are out of state, I guess. And he went inside, he went to my bathroom. So he was there for a good 30, 45 minutes. We're just shooting around with his girlfriend, having a good time. And then Graham comes out 45 minutes later, 3 crushed cans in his hand, makes out with his girlfriend. And then Graham says, yeah, I just took a shit in there. And then his girlfriend says, man, that's hot. And then she saw the beers. So that's kind of what it sums up our friend.
Did he say he was watching Star Trek too?
He was watching Star Trek in the bathroom. He used to do that a lot. So he was in there for 45 minutes and watched an episode, and he crushed 3 beers.
There's so many stories we can tell about Graham, and
But that's
I
the one.
sincerely hope that is a very good descriptor of him. I think once he gets out of basic, we need to try to set it up so that we can have him on the podcast because we've got some good stories about this young man.
Yes, he's passionate about Bill and beer.
He does
That
love
is
Bill
true.
Lambier and attack helicopters.
Luke Voigt. Let's not forget about the stand-up season he's having.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad you got some contact with our boy Graham, and
Sends
I
his
wish the
regards.
best for him. Yeah, I'm so glad.
Yeah, but
So let's hook that up for when he gets out. We'll have him on.
Indeed.
But,
Anyway,
to
Cole, take
segue
us back to
picks,
gambling.
Yeah, to picks. I'll let last place go first this week and announce their picks. Jorge, you have
Thank
your
you.
picks loaded up?
I sure do. All right, so this week I got San Francisco for -3.5. I think they're going to be able to beat out. I got my Eagles. This is the last time I'm going to bet on them. This is kind of like my final stint. Going against the Bengals. They're going against Joe Burrow. I think they can win easily. They'll probably win by a touchdown at the last second. I'm taking Detroit again. I think Detroit can pull out this win.
Why do you keep doing this to yourself?
I'm thinking Detroit because they're gritty and they're a hardworking team. God
How
bless
do you
Matt
measure that?
Patricia. God bless Matt Patricia. Okay? Tampa Bay
I
-6.
think you're the only person who's ever said God bless
Matt
Patricia.
Patricia. Yeah, I think you are.
I was being an oxymoron because God can't bless that man. Yeah, I got Tampa Bay -6, Seattle -5. No way Cowboys are getting in there. I got Baltimore -3.5. Lamar Jackson greater than Patrick Mahomes. I said it.
It's a hot take. I think
That is a hot take, and I don't know if it's because I'm a Texas Tech homer or what, but I don't know if I 100% agree with you. But I think it's a fair argument.
I
mean-
don't agree with that.
I'm saying, yes, Lamar isn't a Super Bowl MVP and not a Super Bowl winner. Lamar hasn't been in the league as much as Patrick Mahomes has been. So just give him some time. And if Lamar doesn't get hurt, I will put that if in there. If Lamar doesn't get hurt, greater than Patrick Mahomes.
Fair.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I am excited for that game. That is going to be wild.
And I do want to mention 2 games that I was kind of unsure about. I do like Las Vegas plus 5.5 against the Patriots. I think that the Raiders looked good last week. I don't know how good they'll look against the Cam Newton offense in New England, but I think they will be able to at least cover. And the Rams plus 1.5 against the Bills. I think the Rams will take that game. Like I said, they're sneaky good. Almost taking into effect the Rams in that division.
So I agree with you on that. Actually, to step into my picks real quick, the Rams, I actually have them at plus 2.5. I took them a little bit risky, but I think they can pull it off. The first 2 weeks they played really well. Granted, they played the Cowboys and the Eagles, so I don't know how good of a measuring stick that is. But especially their defense. Their defense is just incredible. I mean, you just can't stop them. They're crazy good. So my other picks, I've got San Francisco at -4 against the Giants. That's a no-brainer. Especially without Saquon, I don't think they really have anything going for them this year.
They got Jason Garrett.
Exactly. That proves my point even more. I got Atlanta at -3 against Chicago. I've got Tennessee, sorry, Graham, against the Minnesota Vikings at -2.5. I've got Kansas City at plus 3.5. I think I said this last week, but I really don't. I don't always like to bet against Patrick Mahomes, so I'm going to take that one. That one's the one I'm worried about the most, I think. But I think they can. I think they can at least cover on that. And I hate to say it, Cole. This goes against what you do with your bets, but I'm going Dallas. I'm choosing my team. I'm going Dallas plus 5. That one's really risky too. I think I'm just doing that because I really want to see him at least do somewhat well against Seattle, but we'll see what happens there. It was a dumb move, but I'm going to stick to it.
Well, who knows? Who knows? It might pay off, but best of luck to you. I'm a Cowboys fan too. Maybe that will pay off. The Seahawks are missing a key variable, and that is the 12th man. I'm with Eric on this one. I think Los Angeles plus 2.5 is a great pick. You have to start off, I think Jalen Ramsey can shut down Diggs, and I don't know, Aaron Donald's a monster. I don't know if that Bills offensive line is going to be able to stop him. And you really expect me to think Josh Allen's going to carve up Los Angeles defense? Nah.
There's no way.
No way.
He had 400 yards the past 2 games. He's not going to do that this game.
Following the same trend as Eric, pick number 2, I got Tennessee minus 2.5 against Minnesota. You expect that was a hard pick, but I'm betting on Kirk Cousins versus Ryan Tannehill. I prefer to bet on neither of them, but if it comes to that, it's going to be Ryan Tannehill for sure. They got a better run game too, all around better team and a lockdown defense. I think Minnesota's dog shit. I'm also taking Las Vegas plus 6 points for the sole reason of that's a lot of points. Pretty much it. New England looked good last week, but so did Los Angeles. So did Las Vegas. I mean, taking Tampa minus 6 against Denver. I believe Locke's out. Looks like the Brady offense is starting to get a little more efficient. Leonard Fournette put up a lot of rushing yards last week too. Brady really didn't do much, and I feel like they have a few tricks up their sleeves. Also, Denver's defense is banged up a little bit too. Taking the Sunday night game, taking Green Bay plus 3.5 against New Orleans.
Ooh.
I think Rodgers versus Breeze. Rodgers doesn't look bad this year, like everyone was saying he was, and New Orleans is a little bit better of a defense. But again, I don't know how big this variable is as far as the actual I don't know how much this variable actually affects performance, but I feel like New Orleans usually has a huge home field advantage in the Superdome, and that's taken away from them. So, that I may be looking into that too much, but taking Rodgers against Breeze. And then lastly, I can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I'm betting on the Super Bowl champ against Baltimore plus 3.5.
Those are some solid picks. I was intrigued by the Green Bay and Saints game, but I ultimately didn't know which one of those I wanted to choose, so I went against it. But I think I think you made a good pick there. I don't like the Packers. I think I said that many times last week, but I think that's a pretty good bet there. And the Tampa Bay game, I almost went for that one just because that's a lot of points. But I think you're right on that. I think that's going to be a good pick for you. I think I may regret choosing the Cowboys instead of one of those 2 teams, but we'll see how it goes. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it turns out good for me.
Some solid advice from Cole to our audience. If you're interested in sports gambling, one of the main rules, just like Cole said, try not to bet on your team. It's too much of an emotional investment. It's just better to stay away. It's not worth it.
Stay away from it. You got 15 other games to gamble on. It's cool.
Cole, I think you need to make a parody of the old Biggie song, 10 Crack Commandments. And you need to do one about sports betting. And the first one, I think it's rule number 1 is don't get high on your own supply. I think you need to change that into, don't get too high on your home team. Don't be a homer about it. So maybe that's a future bit, but I think there's something there. But yeah,
if you're a Cowboys fan, you bet on Mike McCarthy, you're going to be eating the emergency cake of the week.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel a little shaky about my Dallas decision, but you know what? I'm sticking with it. I'm going to be a proud homer this week. If I've learned anything from George, is that you can be blissfully ignorant about your own team, and it's a little bit endearing. I'm excited. I play fantasy every year, and unfortunately, we didn't get the league going this year just because everything was crazy. So I'm playing with a bunch of random people, and it's not as intense as it would be playing against your friends and family.
Yeah,
But I gotta say this whole our 6 picks every week, that's really making everything interesting. So
It's fun.
glad we're doing this. Yeah.
I do want to give a shout out to Kareem Hunt on the Browns for helping me kick ass last week in my fantasy football team.
You know what I like about Kareem Hunt? I don't like him as a person. He's kind of a shitty person.
He's a really bad person.
He's a very,
he helped
very
me kick
bad
ass.
person. But I will never forget what he did for me. I think it was 2 years ago in his first game with Kansas City. I picked him as my sleeper pick in fantasy, and I started him. And it went against everything that everyone was saying except for like Matthew Berry. And even Matthew Berry said don't start him, but that he was probably going to heat up. But I started him, and he got me 45 points that first week.
Oh, I remember that game, Eric. Yeah, that was a very good sleeper starting pick you had with him.
Yeah, I got incredibly lucky, and that was before we had the baby and I had actual time to go through and look at fantasy stuff. I don't have time for that anymore. But yeah, I will always remember Kareem Hunt a little bit more kindly than everyone else will because of that.
I guess he beat that to you I guess he beat that image of him into submission for you, huh?
Oh yeah, totally. Oh man, that's bad. Well,
I'm just painting a little picture. I'm painting a little picture for you.
All right. So our next segment, I think it'd be good for our audience to kind of get to know us a little bit better. We can kind of talk about how we all met each other, tell some stories, kind of give some background to us so they can get to know us, feel more comfortable with us. And Cole, you and
sit
I
on your lap comfortable, or what are you talking about?
Hey, I think we're already past that point, all of us.
Hey,
okay?
come on, Al Franken.
Oh my god. That's Cole. That's Graham's favorite senator. From up there. He's from Minnesota, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I thought that was right.
Best friend is named Jürgen van Stroovenseit.
Jürgen van Stroovenseit.
Yes, Jürgen van Stroovenseit. Huge Minnesota fan.
Oh, so Cole, I guess we'll start with how you and I met. We've known each other since like 6th grade in middle school.
It was when we met at that gay conversion camp.
It's too bad they. Oh no, I'm not gonna go there. But yeah, Cole and I met when we were in middle school at St. Paul in Abilene, Texas. We went to youth group together. I don't know how much we actually learned about the Bible, but we met. I'm only a few months older than Cole, but so he's a grade under me. But we met in middle school and we've been friends ever since. And I moved to New Jersey when I was starting high school, and we just kind of kept in touch. And yeah, we had a lot of fun memories together. We got kicked out of Whataburger a few times in the middle of the night when we were in high school.
Yeah, we weren't even drunk or high or anything. We were just going to Whataburger.
Yeah, that's how much there is to do in Abilene when you're in high school and you don't have a car. We would literally walk from Cole's house to Walmart in the middle of the night, buy energy drinks, and then we would go to Whataburger and just, hang out and eat or whatever. Of course, we pulled some shenanigans and we, did some ding-dong ditching and stuff like that.
Because of how I
Duchess.
acted as a youth is the reason I don't like kids that are in middle school or younger.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I don't mess with them, man.
Yeah, I don't either. They're terrifying. You get on the wrong side and you're gonna like get random phone calls in the middle of the night. Your trees are gonna be full of toilet paper. You're gonna have forks stuck in your yard, and your car is gonna be saran wrapped. I don't mess with that. Then after that, Cole and I went to McMurray together, where we met Jorgito.
Jorgito, ¿cómo estás, Jorgito?
Ay, loco! Eric,
Um,
I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Eric and I met at a Joyce Carol Oates book club in Dr. Ann Curry's house. I was just kidding. Go ahead,
oh
Eric.
man, yeah, we did meet in Professor Curry's speech class, and it was the worst class I think I've ever taken in my life. She was a horrible teacher. I don't think I learned anything. I had an 8th grade speech class that I learned more in, but um, I had I had gotten kicked out of that class the semester before, so I had to retake it with her again. And I happened to sit next to George one day, and he was talking about how he was from Philly. And I said, "Hey, I know Philly. I used to live up there." And we bonded over. I think what did I? Oh, I remember what I asked you. So I came up to you after class, and I said, "Hey, so you're from Philly? Are you a Pats or a Geno's kind of guy?" And I knew that depending on what you answered was going to tell me whether you were really from Philly or if you were just kind of like you went there and you had family there or whatever. You went every once in a while, and you said, "Oh, I don't choose either one of those. I got a place down the street that's even better than that." I said, "All right, this guy's really from Philly."
Oh, yeah, that's just a tourist traps right there.
I mean, they're good, but they're not. There's always a place better than that. Stay away from the touristy places.
Yeah, Chubby's. Chubby's in Roxborough. Best place to get a cheesesteak. If not, South Philly John Steaks.
Yo,
There
Chubby,
you go.
I don't remember the first time I met you, but I do remember one of the first times I met you. I crawled through your window with 40s.
Yeah, it was 7. It was really early the very first time you did that, and I was sleeping. Nonetheless, caught me off guard. I think actually the very first, I still remember on our very first interactions, Cole. I think I was about to go into the orientation they had at McMurray every year at the beginning of the year for everyone, and I was wearing my Claude Giroux shirt, and you started talking about hockey, and he said you were a Stars fan, and I had never met someone that was like into hockey like that. So that was kind of our first bonding moment, I guess, as friends, that we started talking about hockey, and you knew your shit. Which I knew you weren't just bullshitting and saying, "Oh yeah, I like the Stars," because you were telling me about Kerry Lichtonen and about Tyler Sagan and Jamie Benn. This was back in 2016 when the Stars weren't in the finals.
No.
So yeah,
They played St. Louis the year before, and they lost in the second round in Game 7, and it really made me mad, and I hate St. Louis sports.
yeah, that's it. But yeah, that's how I remember I met you, Cole, and then after that, we just increased our bond, and you started coming into my room and pissing in my sink at 7 a.m. or coming in with 40s.
Oh, man, that was cool that y'all all just peed in that sink, man.
I mean, we did what we could. This dorm room where we lived wasn't the best, so we had to make do with community bathrooms that were cleaned around maybe three times every 2 weeks. So we just had to make do.
Yeah, that sink was
Yeah.
disgusting. You know, if we would have, like we wanted to do, we wanted to get that little turtle and, make a habitat for it in the sink and everything. And we had that theory that if we put Steel Reserve in the sink with the water, and then we let it live in there, it would be like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, but a drunk.
I really think that would have happened. That turtle would have morphed into something Graham couldn't even have imagined of.
It would have morphed into Graham.
I don't know. Did y'all ever see the old Ninja Turtle live action movies from the '90s?
Of course.
Classics, and we could talk about that another time. But they have the like an image of like the toxic ooze like in a glass
Yes.
container just broken in half. When y'all
Yes.
talked about that back then, I just imagined a glass Steel Reserve bottle broken in half and just pouring out and making this turtle into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Jorge would have been on a PETA watch list if that happened.
Yeah, I would.
Who isn't at this point? We live in Texas. They probably have the whole state on a watch list because of how much beef we eat.
No kidding.
Yes.
And it's harder to get a goddamn turtle than it is a gun in Texas. Jesus.
It is. We tried to buy a turtle, and they were like, "Do you have the equipment for that turtle?" Yeah, we bought it off Amazon. Can we see your receipt? What business is it of yours? Well, we need it to get you the turtle.
Well, it's not guns that kill people, turtles kill people. But yeah, so that's kind of how all of us met, and then we all sort of bonded together. Like we all kind of hung out. George and I kind of had this connection, and then George and Cole had a connection, and me and Cole had a connection, but we all didn't really start hanging out a whole lot together until later into that fall semester. But one of the big things I think where we all kind of really hung out a lot was because of club stuff with Makona Men's Social Club.
That
Kaboom!
was a good time.
Yeah, it was fun. We got into a lot of shenanigans. We drank a lot of 40s together.
Yeah, you know, 40s are one of the best things I learned from college. I'm really like great value. They keep the community afloat, and everyone's a winner with them.
Yes, thank you for teaching me the ways, Cole and Eric, especially Cole, that really promoted them during my freshman year.
Yeah, you went from drinking to like your drinking skill went from like a like starting off, it went immediately to like 40 years old.
Yeah, skipped a couple levels there, but sure enough, had a cheat code that was named 211.
But yeah, I think it was only that 1 year where we all lived in the same place. But somehow we've just sort of kept in touch, and whenever we're all in the same area, we all, yeah, I guess that's a little bit. I think I'm out of stories that I want to tell on the podcast as far as the first year goes. But yeah, it's a little bit of a background into how we all know each other, sort of how we met. And I think we got some basketball to talk about. And George, I think you're gonna take this one up and lead us into that.
Oh yes, so great basketball being played right now. Go see Denver's back in the position that they were in. They have been in the whole series. Lakers have been doing great, especially defensively. I do want to point out something within the Miami Heat, even though I'm a Boston homer. I did want to go ahead and check this out. So I was comparing the 2012 Heat playoff stats versus the 2019-2020, or I guess the 2020 Heat playoffs. So you got Goran Dragic, Jimmy Butler shooting at over 45% from the field goal, and Bam
Dang.
Adebayo 55%, and Tyler Hero at 45%. The team is shooting collectively at 45% from the field goal. And then let's look at 2012. The big three, LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. LeBron was the highest in field goal percentage, and he had 47% from the field. Wade was at 43, and Bosh was at 41. So they combined for around a 40. They did have a better field goal percentage that Heat did in 2012, but that's because they had players like Mike Miller and Shane Battier who were shooting from three, so they combined for 50% field goal. What I'm getting at is that Goran, Jimmy, Bam, and Hero, what a team. You don't have a big three there considerably. Like, consider that 2003 draft class with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, and how everyone was criticizing them for combining a superstar team, whatever you want to call it. You got Goran Dragic, drafted by the Phoenix Suns, who was backing up Steve Nash. He was leading the team in points with 28 a game, shooting at 45. Jimmy being clutch as always, shooting at 46. And Bam is just being Bam, getting it in the paint. Like, this team is just shooting the lights out from the field. And that's what gets it in the offense right there, because Miami's offense is just hot. But
Yeah,
I will say that Boston is number 2 in shooting in these playoffs with a field goal percentage of over 50%. They're shooting at 54% from the field, but the turnovers just kill Boston. I mean, they're right behind Denver in field goal percentage, but they're almost last in turnovers. Those turnovers really kill that Boston offense and allow teams that are great in transition, like the Heat, to get those points off turnovers and get that wide margin they usually get, especially in the third quarters and fourth quarters when Boston has a nice little lead, like 12 points. It's those turnovers. You saw in game, what was it? I think it was game 3 that Boston lost. No, it was game 4, I'm sorry. Game 4 that Boston lost. It was those turnovers that killed them in the end because they couldn't come back from that deficit, and the Heat scored all these transition points within those turnovers. So yeah, just a little thing to consider. 2012 Big 3 with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. Less than Goran, Jimmy, Bam, and Hero. What a team they got. My respects to the Heat and Eric Spoelstra more than anything. He is such an underrated coach. I think a lot of people don't give him the credit that he deserves.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I traditionally haven't really been a Heat fan, mainly because of their early 2010s team, um, especially D Wade. I really don't like him at all. But I'm a Mavericks fan, so that is kind of why. But this new version of them with the guys you were just talking about, I'm really impressed with them. And I said it before. I would really love to see a traditional matchup in the finals with the Lakers and the Celtics. I think that'd be really fun. But I absolutely would not mind, and I'm almost sort of leaning toward having the Heat and the Lakers play. I just think that'd be incredible. Just the way that they're playing is wild.
Yeah. As much as it hurts me to say, being a Celtics fan, it's just the Heat are just. It's just such a fun team to watch. I was rooting for them before they reached the Celtics.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
they're
I
the team,
really
man. They have a chemistry.
I
Yeah.
really wanted to see Jimmy Butler be able to kind of take on his own team and sort of be a leader there, after he was with Philly last year. And he's more than done that. It's been pretty cool to see. So, where it stands now, we've got a game 5 tonight between the Lakers and the Nuggets. LA is leading 3-1, so they could win it tonight. But as we've seen with these Nuggets, the last two rounds they were at 3-1 and they came back to win it.
Yeah. So right now they're saying, "Ah, shit, here we go again."
You've got Joker out there with his cigarettes and
Yeah, that's do-rag.
yeah, just do. Every time I think of him, I think of that picture. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they play tonight and see if they can bring it and at least extend it out another game. But it could also be one of those games where, because I don't know who was talking about it, but someone was, where it's almost like LeBron. He's obviously older, so he's got more experience and everything. But there's some games where he has it turned on and dialed up all the way. And some games he's like, okay, I trust the other guys around me. I can kind of turn it down a little bit and kind of preserve some of that so I can just have an explosive game, the next game or the game after that or whatever. I'm curious to see if it's going to be one of those times where he just turns it up all the way and is like, nope, we're going all in. And of course, between him and AD, I mean, that's a really hard just duo to be able to beat, just the two of them. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I'm excited to watch that. And George, I'm curious to think. I know that you're a homer, so you're going to be a little bit biased. So the Heat wins one more game, they're going to the finals. Do you think that the Celtics can extend it out to Game 7?
I think they can. I mean, the last time the Celtics were down 3-1, they won the championship in '83. So it's not over yet at all. This Celtics team definitely has something to prove, I think. They've been playoff consistent for the past couple of years with a young core. They're definitely showing promise. I think they can come back. I definitely think they can. I mean, granted, the Heat are just phenomenal, but it doesn't count out Boston's offense because it's statistically better than the Heat in terms of field goal percentage. If Boston can control their turnovers, then they can definitely make this a hell of a series to Game 7.
You know what the spread is on tomorrow's game between them? I'm just curious.
Spread for tomorrow?
I just want to see how close the public thinks it's going to be.
We got Boston at 3.5. This has mainly been the spread, minus Boston at 3.5, Miami at 3.5 for most of these games. Yeah, I think it's been like at least the past 2 or 3, or most of the series anyway. They've had either Boston or Miami at 3.5. In this case, Boston is favored to win.
Okay.
It'll be interesting. Either way, I think these next two games are going to be really good basketball. So I'm interested to see how it plays out. So let's go ahead and see if we can get young Daniel to join the voice chat.
I just texted him, and I'm going to tell him to jump in right now.
George, you're going to be kind of, more about this than we do. So he's got a little bit of a basketball story that we're going to ask him about, and I think it'll be pretty cool. Our first guest,
Danny, is a good friend of ours.
Just to introduce young Daniel. Daniel was my roommate throughout my 4 years of college. He is a tremendous individual hailing from Amecameca, Estado de Mexico. He is a avid Pumas fan from the Mexican Soccer League. He likes his Barcelona. His favorite player is Ronaldinho. He also likes his Warriors and his Lakers action. Nonetheless, we have a very interesting story from our friend.
Danny's a goon in basketball.
Also want to give a big shout out to my Juarez team, Los Chupacabras. We're playing against Los Pistons tomorrow. Sorry, Eric.
Those Pistons.
Yes.
Hey, I love the Detroit Pistons.
Detroit basketball.
Eric, who's your favorite Piston of all time?
He wasn't a Piston for his entire career, and I just generally love this guy anyway. But I love Dennis Rodman. He's kind of gone off the deep end since his last year with the Bulls. I love Dennis Rodman. He's quirky, he's weird, but just watching him play, his old personal stuff is different, but like watching him just play, especially when he was in his prime, was just incredible. And he's and on top of that, he's got a cool story behind him and everything. His upbringing and all that. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Dallas. He was in the janitor at the Dallas airport
yeah,
before going to Oklahoma.
yeah. I think he went to high school in Oak Cliff.
Ooh.
He did.
Shout out to our boy Donovan from The Ticket, also from Oak Cliff.
The great Donovan. I've met Donovan.
And here with us, hailing from Amecameca, Estado de Mexico, Daniel Cortez. Welcome to
Welcome
the show.
welcome to the
Hello,
podcast, young Daniel.
Hello, Danny.
Thanks. Hello, what's up, boys? Nice to be here. Nice to join y'all today.
You got an extra star for this one, Danny.
Oh, thank you. How many do I
You're at
have now, Cole?
3,763.
Soon you'll be able to turn those in for a stick of gum.
Hopefully.
As to dear Mrs. Puff, Mrs. Megan. Anyway, Mr. Denny, you were recently talking to me about your encounter with NBA upcoming superstar Michael Porter Jr. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, man. I actually, what's it called? I played some pickup games with him at the University of Missouri's campus. So what's it called? I used to live in Missouri, bro, a couple years ago, and we'd play a bunch of soccer tournaments, and they were usually held down in Columbia, Missouri. So this particular time, it was a Show Me State game, and they were being held on their campus or whatever. And we had a day in between two games. We had qualified for semifinals, so we had a relaxed day. And one of my homeboys texted me, and him and another guy from another team that we were playing against. They were just in the rec gym, just playing some pickup. I'd played a little basketball back in my day, so he texted me. I was like, all right, but I'll pull up. And I pulled up, and there's this 6'5" guy. Like, he's huge. But everyone was talking about him and this and that, and I really didn't know him, honestly. But yeah, I just walked into the rec gym, started playing. He was a beast, man. He was cold. And then after that, they were talking about baby KD, and this and that. So I ended up looking up videos of him, and it turned out to be like the number one prospect, I think, at that time for high school, like the number one high school prospect. But yeah, he was cold, man.
That's pretty crazy that you're playing pickup against someone who's now has a chance to be in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to see how time changes, and meanwhile, I'm trying to find a job at 20-something years old. And but yeah, man, that was one of the craziest experiences. I'm glad to say he was never able to dunk on me because I never challenged him. I never jumped up, bro. I just got up.
Oh no, we lost him.
Lost him.
That pits in comparison to meeting a state champ. That's all I got to say.
There he is, young Daniel. You're back.
Huh? Oh my,
Hey, can you hear us?
my bad. Okay, yeah. But yeah, man, it was crazy. Like I was saying, I wasn't as tall as I am now. I was maybe like 5'10", 5'11". So I was not about to challenge this dude going up to dunk. He was like 6-something already by that time. And he was a year younger than me, which is crazy.
Oof.
That is pretty wild.
It is great. These young NBA superstars are taking the league by storm, man.
They really are, man. They really are.
And also,
So-
Danny was our starting center for the Steel Reserves intramural basketball team.
He sure
What a
as heck was.
season. What a season. That was a great opportunity to play on the Steel Reserves. To get sponsored by them would have been a dream, but the contracts wouldn't
paperwork.
allow it. Yeah, we put in the paperwork, we put in the effort, but you know how contracts and corporations are, man.
Yeah, it's true. Danny, do you
Yeah,
mind
cool.
if I ask you a quick question about a quick question real quick?
Yeah.
Do you mind reading off Jorge's stat line from his best game on the Steel Reserves?
Yeah, actually, let me look that up. That was one of his best games. I think it was pretty historic.
Yeah, what a legend.
What a legend! And there's a picture that goes along with them where he has a cigarette in the back of his ear. Anyways,
Yeah.
one of his best performances that tournament, that season or whatever for the Steel Reserves, he had a great performance of 35 minutes, 9 Newports, 3 Steel Reserves, 18 points, 2 steals, and 9 fouls.
Hell yeah.
I would say the only word to describe that would be incredible. Incredible. All while smoking on at halftime.
We're incredulous.
It was it.
And 5
Seeing
complaints
George
on
play
that game too.
Not to mention the 3 clean sheets he had in the intramural soccer tournament as well. Also with the cigarette in his mouth.
Always.
I will say, if you've never been able to see Jorgito play sports at an intramural level, it reminds me a lot of like the old school, like 50s and 60s NFL, where at halftime you got dudes over on the sideline drinking a beer, smoking a cigarette. They just don't make them like Jorge anymore.
No, they're a rare breed.
Jorge, you know what Dylan, my cousin's roommate, his name is Dylan. You know what he said about you the other night?
What do you say?
He said, "Yeah, when I first met Jorge, I thought he was 38. I thought he had a divorce already."
Yeah, he thought you had already been through 2 divorces.
Well, that's what cigarettes will do for you when you start at 17.
And Steel Reserve.
Instant reserve.
I feel like you age quickly with the combination of those two.
You age like cheese, Jorge.
Yeah, but I'm aging in fine wine for my basketball games.
You play like an old man in the park.
I do, but I get it done, my brother.
Is the official beverage sponsor of your team Tecate?
I was just about to say that. Yes, we're sponsored. Our official drink is Tecate. We are sponsored by Lucky Strike Cigarettes in Mexico, so we are very thankful for their sponsorship.
Okay, so here's why we still got young Daniel on here. I've got an interesting question that I just thought of. So I don't think any of y'all watch NASCAR, and I don't either. But something I always thought was interesting was the sponsorships they have splattered all over their cars. So if you were a professional player and they allowed you to have individual sponsorships that you had on your jersey, what 3 companies would you have sponsor you as an athlete?
Oh, as an athlete, that does it have to any? It can be anything. Does it have to be like
Any.
a service, a brand, a product?
It can be anything. It can be anything.
Oh, that would be tricky. I'll definitely have to. Never mind. I can't say that. It would probably have to be first Modelo.
Good choice.
Just based on my personality currently, probably mango sticks, those vape sticks, and
Fair
probably
enough.
Nike, man. Just Nike's a great brand overall, so it'd be
I
dope
thought
to
you'd
get
pick, I
sponsored by
thought you'd
Nike.
pick I thought you'd pick Lululemon, Danny.
What is Lululemon?
Oh no, we lost him. Cole, you pissed him off.
Wouldn't be the first time.
All right, so
Oh,
there he is, young Daniel.
Yeah.
Okay, what about you other boys? What would be your sponsorships you would have on your
Shoot.
hypothetical athletic jersey?
Eric, I already know yours is a Geo Explorer.
You're not wrong. Actually, that was gonna be one of them I was gonna say. So you got it right. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and go into mine. So obviously Geo, they don't make cars anymore, but it doesn't matter. That one's just a personal one for me. If you've never seen a Geo and you're listening, look it up right now. It is an ugly, ugly, ugly car. All of the cars are ugly, but it's like if you look at it, you're like, that's definitely a '90s car.
A Geo Tracker.
Yeah, Geo Tracker. Look it up. They're going to be sponsoring me. At this stage in my life, I don't go as crazy as I used to. So I'm not going to put a 40 brand or anything like that. I'm just going to go with a nice, cheap, delicious beer. I'm going to go with the Lone Star.
nice.
You
Good
know,
choice. Good choice.
you can get a 6-pack for like $6. And it's not the best tasting thing, but you don't hate yourself when you drink it most of the time. So I'm going to go with that. And then I'm also going to go with Pampers because I give them so much money. I want to see a return on that. So, yeah, I'm going to have Geo, the car company. I'm going to have Lone Star, and I'm going to have Pampers because God
Yeah.
knows how much I spend on diapers these days.
I
And
don't
not for
know.
myself. Not for myself. I want to make that clear.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if you're a dad or you're a paralyzed Vietnam veteran with those choices, but that's very fitting.
All right, Cole, what do you got to be your sponsorships?
I'm gonna steal this one from my cousin, but I'd love to be the face of Bud Ice. That'd be cool. Number 2, probably flaxseed. Yeah, I'm gonna go with flaxseed. And then number 3, this is a tough one. I was trying to figure out what it would be, but probably Pizzones.
Honestly, underrated.
Yeah,
Pizza Hut calzones.
Underrated.
Reference.
They're like $5. At least they were back in the day. I don't know what with how prices raise if they're still $5, but they used to be $5. You got a nice big cup of marinara to dip it in. You know, there's worse things you can spend $5 on.
That's true.
Those are
Especially
some
in
good
Outlook
picks,
City.
Cole.
Jorge.
I think well, number one has to be Tecate. It's my go-to. Gotta be sponsored by Tecate. And number two, I'm gonna say probably a good old. I think I'm gonna go with Saturn sponsoring me. The good old-fashioned
Saturn?
car. Yeah, Saturn. I think that really describes my personality as a basketball player or just a sports player. So with the Saturn. And I guess number three, I am gonna go with Tyson chicken nuggets. Yeah. Tyson's the way to go with that if you're buying your chicken nuggets from the store from the freezer aisle, should I say?
You know,
Good choices.
I hate to. If this is okay with everyone, could we go ahead and do ranked at now with Danny here? I think Danny would do awesome on this ranking
I
list.
I actually was gonna suggest that, Cole. I think that's great. Why don't you take it away?
Danny, we have a weekly segment called Ranked At, and it's where you have a top 5 ranking of a category. And I'll let you start off today. Would you like to guess what today's category is?
No, what's today's category?
Today's category is 40s.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, we have quite a bit of experience in that category. I feel like we have a nice background, a nice resume. To start off, I feel like the easiest 40 to drink would probably have to be Bud Light, or Bud Ice. Yeah,
But ice, yeah.
Good
definitely.
choice.
One of the smoother ones. It doesn't make you feel completely terrible about yourself after you drink it. You can go through 2, 3 of them and still have a nice day. You know.
Yeah.
So I would have to say Bud Ice. Would y'all count a Kawama? It technically isn't a 40 ounce. It's like 30 something. Would y'all
I'm
count
going
that
to
as a
count
40?
just malt liquor.
Malt liquor.
So
Nice.
the really bad one. Yes. Very nice.
After that, I would have to say probably Old English. Old English is all right. And then Mickey's. I'd hate to say it, but my last option would have to be Steel Reserve. Not because it's good or anything. The saltiness is unbearable, but just, if you have a Steel Reserve, you're having a good time and you won't remember it tomorrow.
All right. Well,
It's a good list.
Good list,
We'll go-
young.
we'll go ahead and spit mine out. Number one, Bud Ice. It's a refreshing, smooth taste that only someone of cultural taste can enjoy. Like it goes down easy. It's not too hard on you, and you really enjoying the flavor and the aroma. Number two, definitely a Miller High Life. Those are really hard to beat. It's the champagne of beer. It does tricks when you drink it. It's a one-trick pony, but it does its job. Number three, definitely going with Old English, classic. I think it's 5.1%. It has a nice smell that pairs well with dog food. And then number four, King Cobra. Actually, no, number four is Colt 45. Colt
Wow, I can't
45s
believe
are
Mickey's
awesome.
wasn't in there.
Number
God.
four is Colt 45, and then number five is Mickey's.
Miller High
Okay.
Life, I would have to say, would be up there. It's very
Miller High
smooth.
Lifes aren't bad.
Oh no, that's. I mean, my number one is Bud Ice. You can't go wrong with the Bud Ice. It's refreshing, and it's nutrient, and it just gets the job done always. Miller High Life number two. I agree with you there, Cole. You can do tricks with it, and it's just a classic pick. Number three, I gotta go with Mickey's. Can't go wrong with the Mickey's. And number four, I got a tie between Colt 45 and King Cobra. And then number five, I got to leave room for my faithful 211.
Oh,
So-
211.
For my picks, now I'm gonna clarify here. I do not have as much experience with the malt liquor 40s as everyone else does. So I've only tried a handful of them. I mainly stuck with Steel Reserve in college because that was just our go-to. I didn't venture much far from that. Like everyone else, my number one is Bud Ice. It almost tastes like a real beer. I think that should be the tagline. My number two, but George as well, Miller High Life. And the thing I appreciated about those two is you can also buy them not just in a 40, but in a smaller amount too, if you don't want to go crazy, but you want to save some money. Three, I'm going Old English. It's not bad. Number four, I'm gonna go Steel Reserve. And number five, this one is horrible and tastes like piss. Literally tastes like piss. King Cobra. It tastes like it tastes like piss with salt in it. It's bad. I don't like it.
Mm.
I think we were all pretty close on our list though. That's pretty good.
Yay!
Well, awesome. Well, young Daniel, I'm glad you could join us. for our first ever guest spot on our podcast. It was great to
Yes,
talk to
Mike.
you, Mr. Good Noodle.
Thank you, Amor.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank y'all
Thank you
so
for-
much. It was a pleasure, boys. I'd love to be on here.
Oh, Danny,
Yeah.
can you please give us your top 5 Lady Antebellum songs before you hang up?
Please,
What is-
please, you gotta
What
stop
is
the
Lady
Hey,
nonsense.
hey,
Antebellum?
Hey, they had to change their name because, with all the social justice stuff going on, they didn't want to be associated with the antebellum South, so now they're called Lady A. Get it
Danny,
right.
you should have
Danny
told
doesn't
me
like to
that.
admit that.
Who's Lady
Wait
A,
a-
man?
You don't have to hide your secret from us.
Stop
We
projecting.
know,
it.
we know that you secretly love their great example of 2010's pop country music. We know that you love it.
I still
Oh.
remember you singing in the shower. It's 1:15. I'm all alone and I need you now.
Danny, I distinctly remember you folding your linens and undergarment, singing "I run to you, I run to you."
I remember there was one time we were out at Lake Kirby. The four of us were passing around a nice cold Frosty Steel Reserve, and we had some nice harmonizing parts in some of their classic songs. So I know you remembered them, Danny.
Well, I guess you got. You know what? I guess you guys caught me. I don't have a poster, but you can't go
Yes, you
wrong with
do.
2010. You can't go wrong with like the 2010 era music overall. And I think it was a good segment for pop country. It was popping, as the kids say today.
Well,
Oh,
Danny,
that's
I'm
right.
finally
Pop.
I'm glad that you admitted it, and I'm even more happy that you were able to join us today. So again, thank you, young Daniel.
Thank you, Eric.
Gracias.
Thank you, Cole. Gracias, Jorge.
Hasta luego, comandante.
Vaya con Dios, Daniel.
Igualmente.
Adi-
I'll see y'all,
Adios,
boys.
amigo.
Gracias.
Drink a nice Frosty Steel Reserve on my behalf, boys.
I will during the Cowboys game.
I like it. All right.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Raiders, Danny.
Go Raiders. Go Raiders.
All right, that was a nice visit from our best young pupil, Mr. Young Daniel.
What a
All
good
right,
voice.
so yeah, I guess now we will move into a little bit of baseball talk. Now, before the podcast, we kind of talked a little bit, and it's been kind of a weird year for baseball. So I don't think any of us have watched as much as we would have liked to on a normal year. But we're going to talk about it a little bit with the playoffs coming up. We think it's important. So, Jorge, what are you thinking about baseball right now? Specifically, your Phillies.
Well, Philly's bullpen is just god awful historically. The only team that beats the 2020 Phillies bullpen and runs allowed is the 1930 Phillies. So it's the curse of the Phillies bullpen that just can never get right. I don't see them going anywhere special. The offense is amazing. You got Alec Baum running in for the National League Rookie of the Year. He's just been hitting bombs out of the park. I'm calling up our prospects. Harper's been getting more consistent now. Cooch is doing his thing. Hoskins is doing his thing. The offense is set in stone where it is. Didi Gregorius is an amazing player as well. It's just the bullpen. The bullpen. I can't tell you how many times the Phillies had leads going into the 6th or 7th inning. The bullpen comes in and they just ruin it. In terms of the other teams, I mean, obviously the Yankees got a pretty solid core. Blue Jays may make a little bit of noise, but I'm counting on the White Sox too. The White Sox, I think, will make some noise. They got a good bullpen, especially, and that's what really can get you deep into the playoffs.
I agree with that. So this year they've expanded the postseason, so there's more teams in it, and I'm trying to pull up what the teams are. But I know for me, I haven't watched very much baseball this year because all of my teams have been terrible. I'm a Texas Rangers fan. They're god awful, which is disappointing. Their inaugural season in their new stadium is just been terrible. I think we have like 18 wins or something like that and 38 losses. Embarrassing. And I'm also a Boston Red Sox fan because my wife's family, like I said last time, they're all from Massachusetts. So
It was my wife, very nice.
My wife.
but yeah, I think they've been playing almost exactly the same as the Rangers. So I haven't really gotten to watch very much because I'm a Dallas fan, so I'm used to being able to withstand the torture of seeing my teams play. But sometimes you just got to tap out. So here we go. So I'm gonna walk through. And Cole, I know that you haven't really watched any baseball this year.
No, I haven't. They made me mad.
Yeah, their lack of planning for coronavirus really was kind of irritating.
It really was.
Okay, so uh, I'm looking at Bleacher Report right now. This is their playoffs for the MLB. This is the teams they have. It's updated after last night's games. So it looks like we've got number one in the National League going into the playoffs is the Dodgers. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. Then we've got the Braves, the Cubs, the Padres, the Cardinals, the Marlins, Cincinnati, and the Giants.
The Marlins are in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the first time in like I don't remember what it is, like 15 years, 20 years, something like that. I mean, it's a little bit. I think I read something where it was like the first time since like '03, maybe.
Wow. I know Graham's a huge Don Mattingly fan. That makes a lot of sense then.
So yeah, out of those teams, I would obviously go with the number one Dodgers. I think that they've got some good talent on there, specifically Mookie Betts. That was really hard to see him go to the Dodgers, but I think they've got something to prove this year with all the stuff going on with the Astros, and to an extent the stuff that was reported with the Red Sox as well. 2 years in a row they had chances to legitimately go and win, and they didn't get it. So I think they've got a chip on their shoulder, and I think they've got the talent to back that up. So that would be my pick from the National League to go to the World Series. For the American League, we've got Tampa Bay, we've got Oakland, the Twins, Cleveland, the Yankees, the Astros, hate the Astros, Chicago White Sox, and Toronto. I gotta say, I don't really care as much about what happens there as long as it's not the Astros or the Yankees that advance to the World Series. I don't really care.
Go
what happens there.
Yanks!
That's disgusting.
Jesus, Cole.
I might have to cut that out.
Do what?
Might have to cut that out.
All right. Well, I'm sorry that you like. I'm sorry you like Boston teams. I'm very sorry, and I'm sorry you like the Celtics, Jorge.
What's wrong with it? We got 17 championships.
I just don't like Boston teams, man.
Well, I
Sam?
will say the your roommate that you had a couple years beginning in college, he's a bad representative of
I think a lot of them are that way, man. I mean, like there are exceptions, but I think a lot of them are that way. And I will hold that. A lot of people. Yeah, I will hold that stereotype in my mind for a while. Nope, 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 nope.
So for everybody listening, Cole had a roommate his first couple years of college. He was just generally he was a Boston fan for these sports, although I don't think he ever lived there, did he, Cole?
No, his parents were from there.
Gotcha. And he was like obnoxious about it, like about as obnoxious as you could be about sports, about these teams. And he was also just generally a douchebag. And so I think that sort of helps paint a little bit of a negative picture to Cole. But I think with any city, especially big cities up in the Northeast, you're going to have some bad fans. So
Jorge, am I wrong though? Have
understand
you
where
met a
you're
lot of
coming from.
Boston fans that way?
Yeah.
Like I've met a lot of Boston fans that act that way.
Not wrong. They are typically annoying, pretentious.
They win a lot.
Yeah, they do. They call themselves Titletown 2K.
I will say, I think my least favorite city for sports, as far as football goes, is definitely Philly. Philly fans, and I like Philly baseball, I like Philly hockey. I don't give a shit about Philly basketball. But like Philly sports fans, you got to admit it, George, they're pretty terrible.
Terrible in what sense?
That one guy called you retarded for wearing a Rangers hat. Remember that, Eric?
Yes, that was only one time that I had that happen. So I got called some disparaging names for wearing a Rangers hat in Philly one time. And then all my time spent in New Jersey as a young man, I like Texas teams, and I was stuck between these New York assholes and these Philadelphia assholes. And no matter what team I liked, I was always getting dogged on for it. But
now you know.
yeah, there was one time I was in a Walmart outside of Philly, and this isn't necessarily Philly fans, but this guy was a New York fan. But it kind of paints a similar picture. And I was wearing a Boston hat. I think it was 2 years ago, around the World Series time, and or in the playoffs, and the Yankees were playing or whatever that night. And I was wearing a Boston hat because I do that from time to time. And this dude walks up to me in the middle of Walmart. He goes, "Hey, asshole, you better take that hat off." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, the Yankees played, and I don't know why you're wearing the hat around here, asshole. And I was like, hey, we're near Philadelphia. This is nowhere near Yankees territory. I don't know why you're so pissed off about it. And he goes, well, I just think it's disrespectful to wear that in the Northeast. I was like, where the do you think Boston is, asshole? Like, it is in the Northeast. It is more north than New York is. And I get into this verbal argument with this dude. And I was like, dude, I'm literally 20 minutes from the Philadelphia airport. Like, there's no reason for you to be so territorial about this. If anything, you should be, I should be saying something to you about wearing Yankees gear so close to Philly. But so that's a New York fan. But I've also had similar experiences with Philadelphia fans. Sometimes I asked for it because I'd be wearing Cowboy stuff in Philly, and that just doesn't go over well. But I admire the grit that Philadelphia fans have for the teams that I like the Flyers. Love the Flyers. They make me love hockey. You gotta admit, sometimes y'all a little obnoxious, George.
Y'all are homers.
A little obnoxious. Well, of course, we're homers. We're proud of our team, regardless if they're doing bad or good. We stick through it, and we're proud. That stadium is never empty. I will say
Y'all
that.
stick through. You stick like thick, like you're the women you pursue at tailgate parties, and thin like Eric and I's hairlines.
Exactly.
I will say I admire Philadelphia, the city, and the people there a lot because I went there a whole lot. I lived near there for a long time, and so I appreciate Philadelphia. So it's not a knock on the city at all. But yeah, so yeah, that's a little bit about MLB. I don't think any of us have any sort of a whole lot to say about it. None of our teams are really in there this year.
No, well, yeah.
Not much to say about it. I guess when playoffs start, we'll see where we can get with it.
Well, Cole, your Cubbies are in there, but like I said,
I do like the Cubs, but I haven't been watching any baseball. Like, I like the Cubs and I like the Rangers. Those are my two favorite teams, but I haven't watched any baseball since like opening night.
I will say I think one of my favorite sports memories, Cole, was when in 2016 when I watched the Game 7
That
of
was
the World
fun.
Series with you. That was great.
It was a good
This
time.
was first time I tried Crown Royal. I was with you there.
Crown's pretty
In your
good. I
room.
don't drink whiskey anymore, but I like Crown.
Okay, so enough about baseball because who cares about that right now anyway? Let's talk a little bit about the Stanley Cup Finals and what's been going on this week with the Stars and Tampa Bay. I will say after the last two performances from the Stars, I'm pretty disappointed.
Tampa's power play is just so good and so hot. And Braden Point is that sneaky player because the Stars are focusing on Victor Hedman and Kucherov. So Braden Point's just been racking up goals and assists.
Last night I thought we played pretty well until the last little bit of the third period. Our goaltending was not as good as it should have been last night for sure. I mean, we let them score 4 points on us. There's that questionable call there at the end too. That could have played some. It could have been a determining factor in who won the game. But ultimately, you got to outplay the refs. I don't care how bad a call is, with the exception of just a few, like the call against the Saints and the Rams in the conference championship a couple years ago. That is not included in this. But generally, if you're going to say that penalties cost you the game, you should have played better. And I think that's true for last night too. So I do think it's interesting that they're just trying to get these finals done pretty quick. So they played last night. They'll play again tonight. I think at 7:00 Central Time. And
nice.
If the Lightning win tonight, they win it all. They're up 3-1 right
3-1.
now.
That sucks.
Yeah, I will say ever since we got into the finals, I've just been kind of let that carry me through and kind of was on that sports high for a while. And I think Wednesday night was the first night I was like, damn, I don't like the way this feels anymore. It's still been good hockey. I'm not going to lie. Playoffs hockey is, one of the best things in sports.
I'm really hoping
too much.
I'm really hoping that COVID gave the NBA and the NHL some time to reschedule, like when they play games for the next, 60 years. While we're able to watch sports. It's really inconvenient that the finals are usually the same time for the NBA and the Stanley Cup. I'm hoping this helps them reorganize to where we can have different, maybe basketball in July instead of June, and then like playoff hockey in June, or the finals in June for hockey.
That's a good.
I always found that to be interesting because, if you try to watch both, you're just like it overlaps and you just run out of time and you got to choose one or the other. So I think that's a good idea, Cole. I mean, hopefully they kind of rethink that a little bit.
Yes.
Hopefully our stars can pull something off. But even if we don't, it's just kind of cool to see us get that far. No one expected us to make it even this far.
Yes. And
So
now that we're on hockey, I do. This wasn't necessarily uh, a book pick of the month or the week or whatever, but there was an excellent book out there called The Mighty Oak. And this follows the life of a hockey player, kind of like a washed up hockey player. And he is actually playing with a team called the El Paso Storm. So shout out to my hometown of El Paso. And more importantly to the Rhinos, who have been Thorn Cup champions for the past couple of years and have been consistently good. But anyway, this follows our protagonist, kind of like just the toxic sports culture that sometimes comes with hockey and the toxic masculinity, especially with enforcers. He's an enforcer, right? His name is Oak, and it's just a really good story. It reads very easily. The narration is very good, and it just says a lot about not necessarily just hockey and the enforcer culture in general, but just the toxic sports culture and the, I guess, extreme sports culture that we as Americans sometimes embrace. And it's a very good eye-opening book regarding that sense. So I highly recommend The Mighty Oak by Jeff W. Benz. It was a national bestseller. It was just released this year as well.
that's great. We're gonna have
The
to check
Mighty
that out.
Oak.
Very good book.
All right, so I wanna have a little bit of a new segment that we want to do. Let me know what you guys think about this. But I want to have something called the rant corner. So throughout our podcast, we try to keep it pretty positive, try to keep things kind of light. But especially during these coronavirus times, it's nice to have a little bit of a place to be able to let off some of that steam. So I think we should start this segment called the rant corner. Basically, you get a minute or two to rant a little bit about something that's really pissing you off. It's kind of a little bit, funny, might be a little entertaining. So we each get a little bit of a chance to rant a little bit, and generally we try to keep the language pretty clean on this. But during the rant, if you would like to let loose a little bit, let some of your northeastern, language show a little bit, I can go and post and edit that out a little bit. So anyone have anything they want to rant about today?
Yes, I do. I just want to start. This is not necessarily positive, but this is just something that has been pissing me off for the past couple months, and especially this week. We can't get any justice for Breonna Taylor. How does a Supreme Court justice get into getting this cop off with a Class D felony? Like, how does that happen? It's like you got an innocent woman who was shot in her sleep, regardless if it was an accident, if it was on purpose. There has to be justice for this. There has to be consequences for your actions. That's just something that has been pissing me off through the week, that no matter how much we talk about it, no matter how much we protest, it still doesn't go through the thick heads of people that are in power. Justice has to be sought for this innocent woman who's helped her community, was an EMT, and even regardless of what she did for her community, it's just something that just outrages me in a way. It's just sad to see how we can value more sometimes profit. We can sometimes value more sports, and I respect the NBA a lot for taking the stance that they did at the beginning. I may not have understood it, but understand it a little bit better of how they chose to walk out of those games, because it's just mind-boggling how sometimes we can use our entertainment and the bread and circus concept to keep us where we need to be. And then we have things going down on the sideline, like Breonna Taylor's murder, and only having one cop accused of a Class D felony, that whose bullets touched the home of someone else. It's just mind-boggling to me. And that's my rant of the week.
Yeah, I'll make one quick note on that too. I saw something on Twitter and someone was saying that the cop that got any charges on him, he got charged for the bullets that didn't hit her but hits, someone else's house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I don't want to go too much into it, but I think you're right. I think, just the lack of justice and just, I mean, the whole situation's horrible. And yeah, I would agree. That's pissing me off too. Cole, you got anything you want to rant about this week?
I'll let you go first. I'm still thinking.
Okay, mine's a little bit more lighthearted. Thank you, George. I think that was a really
Thank
important note
you.
that you hit on, and I agree with you 100% there. Mine's a little bit more lighthearted than that. I've got these really shitty neighbors. Back in our day in college when I had a house, we were no strangers to having, some parties on a Friday night or a Saturday night, but I feel like we kept things sort of reasonable. Our music was never loud. If we were outside, we weren't screaming and yelling and stuff. But I've got these people that live across the street. It's sometimes it's in the middle of the week. It's on a Sunday night. I mean, it's all the time. They've got people over there. They're cooking out and having a good time. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's great that they have community, but they sit in their front yard until like 2, 3 in the morning. They're screaming. They're getting in fights with each other, and it's so loud I can hear it in my house, no matter where I am. They wake the baby up all the time, and they throw off his sleep schedule, and they just never stop it. I just don't know what to do about it anymore. But here's the craziest thing that happened this week. I think it was Sunday night. They were celebrating after the Cowboys victory, which I mean, go Cowboys. I totally get it. But it got to be about 1:30 in the morning, and one of their friends shows up in this brand new big Ram Dodge truck. I mean, it had the new license plate, the paper one, and everything. And I'm assuming that this guy was probably drunk while he did this because I don't understand how anyone would do it on a brand new truck. But he sat there, put it in neutral, and revved it up, and was just burning out his tires, and then would put into drive and just shoot down the street. And it was one of those big, really loud diesel ones, so you could hear it go all the way around the block, speeding like
That sucks.
probably 60 miles an hour down the street. Would come back and then burn out his tires again, smoke everywhere, come back around. He did it for probably like 15, 20 minutes. And I just don't get it. Like, why did he do that? Why was he doing it on a brand new truck? So now we got all this stuff on our street. We got like little bits of rubber and skid marks. Not skid marks. But we've
I
got
get
like,
those too. I get those too.
yeah, me too. But they get our streets all messed up, and we don't live in a great neighborhood. But like, I don't know, just sort of that's my rant for the week. It bothers me a lot, but I think I'll get over it. But that was my rant. So Cole, you thought of anything?
I really hate it when people don't cover their nose when they wear a mask. Like, honestly, just don't wear one if you're going to do that. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'm not saying you should. Like, I wear a mask to cover my nose too. I'm just saying it's very counterproductive, and that's like wearing underwear and having your out of like the hole in the underwear. What's the point of wearing underwear at that point? Like, it makes no sense, none whatsoever. And I just always think, are you stupid or do you not care, or a little bit of both? And just really grinds my gears. It's like, if I saw someone not wearing a mask, I would go, okay, I know what you're all about. But whenever you get the person that has their nose uncovered, it's like, what are you trying to do? Like, I don't understand. What yeah, it's mind-boggling.
That's totally fair. Yeah, I that pisses me off too.
Yeah.
But
So
I think people are starting to get it. So it wasn't that way in Lubbock for a while, but I think people are starting to really get with it. Anyway, is there any other topics that y'all would like to cover today?
I just want to make one quick note. Dwight Howard, I really don't like how he's playing against Jokic. I think he's been playing dirty and trying to show off his muscle. I really hope he showed off his muscle that way when he had sex with that transsexual woman who he still denies to this day. And I'm sure a lot of people don't remember it, but I just want to bring that back up. Even then, like, what's the big deal about it? So what? He had sex with a trans. Why are people making a big deal out of it? Just admit it, Dwight Howard.
I like this theme of hating on Dwight Howard in our podcast. I think he's a moron. I don't like him.
He's a piece of shit.
He's got a weird triangle face too.
Yeah, he does.
yeah, do you remember when everyone was saying he was the second coming of Shaq in Orlando?
Oh, and he had that Superman little thing that he wore during the All-Star weekend.
Yeah, and during the dunk contest.
I thought that was so dumb.
Yeah. And happy birthday to Nate Tiny Archibald, great Celtics and Kings legend.
Speaking of birthdays, our little Jorgito had his birthday just a few days ago. Happy
Thank
birthday,
you.
Jorge.
Happy
That's
belated
nice.
birthday, Jorge. It wouldn't have made any sense if I told that to you on your birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. I'm glad to
You,
be on this podcast and celebrating nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm glad that you didn't celebrate so much that you couldn't function today, so I'm very proud of you. And
Thank you.
we wish you well with your birthday weekend. So
Thank you.
anyway, I think that about wraps up what we've got for everyone today. Just a quick shout out, real quick. I want to plug our social media. We've got a Twitter account, everybody. It is at Intramural Champs, but Champs doesn't have an A in it because Twitter restricts how long you can have your name. But we'll probably add that into the description of the pod. And then right now you can listen to us on Spotify. We also have a YouTube channel where we put the audio up. You can listen to us there. It's just Intramural Champs at both of those. And hopefully here in the next few days, we will be approved to be on Apple Podcasts. So hopefully by the time you listen to this, it'll already be approved and you'll find our episodes there. We're also on a couple of different podcast platforms. So if you don't use any of those and you use another specific one, check us out, see if we're there. And if there's somewhere else you'd like us to be, let us know. Also, if you have any questions, any topics you would like us to talk about, anything like that, reach out to us on our social media, and we would be happy to have some community interaction in our podcast. So anyway, I just want to thank everybody for listening, and I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being on the podcast today.
Of course. Thank you for hosting.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to episode 2 of the Intramural Champs podcast. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.